Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Lars Larson, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go Inside the Audition. And we're back. Episode 156. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Audition. We're right in it. I'm Joey Freddie Larson here in Toronto. And just out that door in the other part of the studio is...
It's Brandon Knox. Me. That's me.
Brandon James Knox.
Yes.
Yes. Now that I'm going by three names, you got to be fancy. You're Brandon James Knox.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, that's it, right? Is that your middle name, James?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You got it right.
I like Jay. It could be Brandon J. Knox. Not that there's ever any other Brandon Knox, but
I could be one step closer to being Homer Simpson.
Homer J. Simpson.
Homer J. Simpson.
Brandon J. Knox. Yes. Mm-hmm. Welcome everyone on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're watching this live right now on Wednesday, October 4th, share this out with your actor friends. We got a great show today. At the end, we're going to give away a free self-tape session with Actors Audition Club, where we'll connect you with one of our audition directors to help you rehearse, record, edit, and submit your standout self-tape audition. And we'll give you one of those in the house. So stick around for that. All you got to do to qualify for the draw is interact in the comments. So right now I see some of you out there in Facebook/YouTube land. Let us know in the comments. This is the international sign language for let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments what city you are watching from. And also let us know what your biggest struggle, challenge, obstacle is with auditions right now, because that's the point of this show, is to help you with your auditions and help you with your acting world and your acting life. We got a great show today. We are going to talk a little Todoroff, and we also have a link that we're going to drop where you can join a free masterclass with Tom Todoroff himself, who's a fantastic actor, director, producer, and performance coach. A couple times a year, he does these free masterclasses. So he was gracious enough to do one. When was the last one? I think for us,
July 12th.
Back in July. So we're Actors Audition Club is giving access to this free masterclass with Tom. He's an incredible director. His technique and framework for breaking down monologues and performances and scenes is unparalleled, and it's tons of fun too. So we can drop. Why don't we drop that link in right away so that it's there for people? It's Wednesday, October 11th. So 1 week from today, 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can register for that masterclass as an observer, or if you really want to have some fun, just go all out and jump in the pool with us. And all you got to do is bring a 1 to 2 minute monologue to work on. All those details are on the registration page, but we just dropped the registration page in there. Again, it's October 11th, next Wednesday, 7 p.m. This will be the last masterclass that Tom does with us for the entire year. So you won't have this opportunity through Actors Audition Club until sometime in 2024. So highly suggest those. Brandon's been a member of the Todoroff Studio for a long time. I've been a member. We both attended the Summer Intensive in New York. I was a member of the conservatory back in 2021, and Tom's the best. And I'll say this outright, and I've said this to Tom, there's a direct line between Tom's training and my recent booking of a lead role in an episode of a new upcoming series. The director, producer, showrunners, and some of the creators of the show came up to me when I first met them, and they told me a couple things about my audition, namely how I played my character. and something I did visually, which we'll talk about today too. And they said the things that you did in your audition changed the way we viewed your character and the role, changed the way we viewed the whole story, and changed the way we shot the entire episode. So shout out to Tom Todoroff. I don't know that I would have done those things if I hadn't gone through Todoroff training. So shout out to Tom. And that's you can learn from him today and have a lot of fun. So we're going to talk a little about some of the things that Tom teaches us, a little bit of his framework, but make sure to register for that masterclass. He could be charging several $100s for this, like an intensive masterclass, but you'll have the opportunity to observe, or you can sign up to actually perform and be coached and redirected by Tom. And you can talk about this a little bit, Brandon. Have you ever seen someone direct a scene or a monologue and so quickly turning it from like decent to good to out fucking standing?
Tom is the absolute best at doing that. In the summer intensive in New York, he was telling us about how he's been friends with Alexander Payne for a number of years, who directed Sideways, is an Oscar winner. And when he was watching Tom direct actors and watching the scene progress, he like bowed down to him and is like, I will never be able to achieve what you do. And like,
Right.
so it's incredible to watch Tom take a scene from start to call back to booking level stuff. It's riveting, and I love watching it every week. It's
Right.
fantastic.
And one thing I would like to say about that is it's not something mystical or mythical about Tom himself. There's a little bit of that because he's just he's got great energy and he's lots of fun, but it's because he's codified or codified a framework, which is like a checklist or a lens of looking at all of his scenes and monologues or any performance that's based on the physics of performance and aspects of storytelling that just works every time. So it's not Tom just sprinkling his magic dust on it and working from the gut or having a hunch. It's a methodical checklist, and it's 15 guideposts, 4 aspects of vocal variation, 6 viewpoints, the 3 tenets of acting, and the 3 techniques of acting. In a very brief nutshell, you could look at it at one page, and once you learn that technique, you can take that technique and transpose it onto any scene, any monologue. Could be a song, could be a musical performance, could be a speech. And one of the brilliant things about it is it'll make you a better director. Once I learned this stuff, I'll freely admit, when I was running self-tapes before coming to Tom, to learn from Tom, there was many times where I would want to help actors and I just didn't know what to say or how to say it, or I didn't recognize really what was wrong with the scene. I knew, and wrong is a strong word, but there was times when it was a comedy, I always have good instincts, and to me, it's like if it's funny, it's funny. If it makes us laugh when we're doing it, it's probably going to work. So that I always had a sense for. But if it was something that you'd put more in the dramatic side of things, and one of Tom's lessons is there is no comedy and there is no drama. Everything is everything. So find comedy and drama, find drama and comedy. However, I was always able to, like, I had the good instincts from my comedy background, sketch and stand-up background. But when it was something that wasn't that, I would have the feeling helping someone behind the camera that this seems like it's falling flat, but I just didn't know how to articulate what was missing, what wasn't quite there, how to improve it. I would throw out the best of my ideas, and maybe I had an idea about a beat here or there. But now when we help an actor here at Actors Audition Club, I can immediately go through the guideposts and say, well, what's your relationship? What's the conflict? What are you fighting for? What's your moment before? Where have you find humor? Where did you find opposites? Where are you making discoveries? Where are you using communication and competition? You need to raise the importance. You need to find the events. Yes. You need to, what about the place? Where are you? Can you incorporate place? Is there some game playing and role playing? Is there some mystery and secret? Is there some mischief? Is there some vulnerability, and is there some architecture? And then I can look at vocal variation. We can look at viewpoints. So it's a very clear checklist, so that all of a sudden performance and performance art and good storytelling and great monologue and scene work isn't just this mystical, magical gut feeling where you got to be like using metaphors and describing, like, sometimes you get a director and they're doing their best, but their best is just like, well, it's kind of like that thing when when you're at that thing with your butt, like, and they're describing something in your life instead of meticulously pinpointing the physics of performance that are, or that either aren't or are happening in the scene right now. So the technique is consistent. You can duplicate it, and it applies to every type of scene, every type of performance. There's never
So what you're saying is that when you do get a note that you don't quite understand, you're able to put it in a language that you do understand, and is that able to help you, right?
Well, yeah. If I'm saying two things. One is, when you learn it, you'll be a better actor and you'll be a better director. And I think every director should study with Tom, because they'll be a better director. But also, yes, when you know it as an actor, this is going to sound maybe a little cocky, but once you've trained with Tom, you will be a better director than most directors you ever work with in your life. Because I'm going to just say it, most directors, unless they were an actor or they're theater based, if they're, I don't want to say just a director for TV and film, because it's a massive job and directors are brilliant, but sometimes not every director is equal in their ability to communicate and actually work with an actor and mold the performance. Sometimes a director is, they're more the director that's working with the camera team and the DOP, and they're doing a brilliant job telling the story visually, but the performance is the performance, and maybe the director doesn't know how to influence it so much. But when you learn this technique, just your communication skills and being able to break down a scene, and yes, what you said, Brandon, is now when I get a direction from a director that is a little muddy, I can quickly translate it and be like, oh, what he means is the scene needs more architecture, or what he means is there needs to be a bigger discovery there, or I need to have a stronger relationship and infuse more love into this scene. So I, knowing the guideposts, can translate directions that maybe sometimes are a little fuzzy. And we've all, like, you've had these where a director will be like, they're doing their best, describing metaphors, describing other movies, describing things. It's like this or it's like that. But then you still have to translate that and then turn that into something actionable. Whereas Tom will just say the thing that you need to do based on the framework of guidepost, vocal variation, viewpoints, tenets, and techniques. So it's huge.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But I think what it also does is it gives you a blueprint so that you don't need, you've already come in making choices.
Right.
You've already come in doing all that prep work,
right,
and doing all that work beforehand. So the director doesn't even need to direct you.
And he shouldn't. And
no.
and most of the times they don't. It's like on most TV,
because they have other things they need to deal with, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. By the time you hear the old adage, 90% of directing is casting. It's like they've cast you because of your choices in the audition. So it's really not how it works. You don't show up and then be like, how did you like that? Do you want me to do it this way or that way? It's like, okay, move. We got to go. Okay, we got it. Okay, moving on to the next one. So if you don't have your strong choices and an ability to break down a scene and make it its best, you're maybe not getting that on set. So
I think a lot of the time people get hung up on the fact that directors in school were their teachers and they were teaching them how to be a performer. And yes, those are great ground tools to start out with, but eventually you're going to have to be able to do it on your own if you want to be paid for this work.
Right. Yeah, because that's
what you are. You're a technician. Yeah. Like as we've talked about before, a pilot does all the pilot checklists before the plane takes off.
Right.
Like they make sure that the engine's working. They make sure the ignition's on, and all the other work that they need to do before there's takeoff. you are a skilled worker when you are an actor, because
Right.
you've been training for years and years at this craft to be able to do it with the best of the best.
Yeah, that's a really good point too about the difference to if you were younger, your director was coaching and training and teaching and doing all that stuff, but ain't nobody got time for that shit. And that was you paying to go to
Yeah.
school and you paying to be directed, whereas
Mhm.
you want this $1 million production to pay you the big bucks to star in their thing. No one's going to tell you how to do it or take the time to teach you how to act by that point, or teach you how to make strong choices. You just got to deliver the goods. So
Yeah.
if you're lucky, every once in a while, you get directors and you get people who are teaching, and you learn new things, but the reason that you've been cast is because you're a pro and you're ready to rock and you're going to do your job, so that the director just can say action and cut, and when they're shooting, they're getting what they need. Yeah. So we drop that link in there. Make sure that you do register for that. There's only they'll do limited spots. There is no replay. In the past, they've sent out a replay if for some reason you couldn't attend, but you got to show up live, so you'll get a great benefit out of it. And I will say this too, for Toronto actors, depending on the numbers, we'll host, in the past, we've hosted live watch party / perform party, where there's Toronto actors here and want to come into our Toronto studio. We'll have like a gallery out in the front where Brandon is, and then whoever's on camera working with Tom can be back here in our audition room. Otherwise, it's via Zoom, so it's an international thing. You can register and watch from the comfort of your own Zoom room wherever you live in the world. But that's next Wednesday, October 11th at 7 p.m. Make sure you register. When you do register, you'll have the option to tick observer, and you can just audit the class, take a ton of notes. Tom's constantly dropping pearls of wisdom and using this lingo about guideposts and viewpoints and vocal variation, and tons of great little lessons that you'll learn. I know that every time I do a class, I feel like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of notes. And the thing I love about it as well is it's fresh. Every class is fresh because he's working with new material, with new actors, but he's always returning to the same thing. So it's not like it's changing every time. And you're so it doesn't contradict itself. It's just the more you study with him, the more it drills in these basics of guideposts, viewpoints, vocal variation. We got someone here saying, can't see the link. Would you mind dropping it again? Is this the same person that said, sup, boys? Facebook user, somewhere on Facebook, there's a permission for you to let StreamYard know that they can share your info with us, and we'll be able to see your name and picture if you want to hit that permission button. But we'll drop that link again. We'll also hook it up in the show notes. And then the other thing that you can do is you can go back into last time Tom did this masterclass with us. We did several episodes. I'm looking them up right now. Episode 146 is the physics of performance with Tom Todoroff. We talk about guideposts 1 through 5. We go through the guideposts in detail. Episode 147 is guideposts 6 through 10. And episode 148 is guidepost 11-15. For those of you if you're real keeners and you're chomping at the bit and you really want to do some learning in prep of that masterclass, go back, listen to episode 144, 145, and 146. You know what? I can probably drop the I'm going to drop the links in here too. This is episode 146, which is guideposts 1 through 5, and episode 147, which is guideposts 6 through 10. These are our Spotify / Anchor links. You can look up the podcast. If you don't know, it's on all podcast platforms. So whatever one you're on, if you're on Apple Podcasts, find it there. And one more. So this would be some great reminders or refreshers, or if you haven't heard of Tom and his technique, we break down a lot of the examples of the guideposts and how to apply them to scenes. Oh, it's Francis. What up, Francis? What up, Francis? Francis, you should definitely register for that and choose perform. You'll get a ton out of it, even if you're just auditing and observing. As long as you're actively observing and actively listening, and don't have a million other tabs and phones and Netflix on in the background. Like, actually take notes and be present as a student-minded learning person. But I would suggest jump in and work with them. You'll get more. I do get more working from him than observing, but you'll get lots from observing. If you're afraid, then just audit and observe. But if you're really bold, then get in there.
Yeah, take a risk. Do it. Perform.
Take a risk. Is that Luna growling back there?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So today, since we talked about guideposts in episode 146, 7, and 8, today we wanted to talk about some other parts of the technique, which are viewpoints. Is that what we're going to start with? Viewpoints?
Yes.
So there's the viewpoints. There's the guidepost, 15 guideposts, and then there's 6 viewpoints. So let's talk about viewpoints. Brandon, take it away.
So let's start this one at a time. So the first viewpoint is time. So Lars, how does time relate in some of your auditions?
I think one of the biggest things where time will apply is just the urgency, or that ticking clock factor. If it's something where, like, you got to hit a deadline, or there's some urgency, you got to get some information, you got to get to a place, you're about to miss your plane, all of those need to affect your performance. The other aspect of it is time, meaning like period piece. Is this modern day times? Is this back in the 60s and everybody's a hippie? Is it back in Murdoch mystery times? So you're maybe a little fancier and old school, or that can also inform your jewelry. Like, you're not going to wear an Apple Watch if you're in a period piece. So yeah, I think that's it can also apply to time in the script too. Where are you? Is this the opening scene of the script? Is this the middle? Is this the very, very end? So that you can be thinking as a character of your arc and your progression. Those are 3 examples to how I would often apply it. What else? Any others for you?
Is this the first time that you're ever doing something?
Ooh, right.
Or have you done this before?
Right.
Could this be the last time this happens to you?
Right.
Those are all things that I go through as well. So those are 4 examples of how time can be applied to your auditions and how it can enhance what you're doing on screen.
Right.
And on stage as well.
And all of this, the guideposts and viewpoints, vocal variation, all of it, the end result is it makes your auditions very, very specific, which means they're not duplicable by anyone else, and they're not going to be general and generic and kind of like, okay, yeah, that's kind of like the other 100 that we've seen, because you're saying the words and you're doing everything exactly the same, versus being a real, Tom likes to use the term text detective, where you go through all this stuff, and then the smart actor who's like, oh, wait a second, how can I apply time to this? And you use some of the things we said, and no one else found that. It just makes you a more intelligent actor. People, I think the casting directors, the director, the production team are going to notice that. And there's just going to end up more colors and more specificity in your audition. And you're going to book it, or you're at least going to book a callback because you went deeper. I think it's all of this is digging deeper and uncovering more things, finding more layers, finding more colors, playing more notes. So time
and space.
So is next.
How when you think of space in your auditions, Lars, what do you think of?
Space to me is a part of that is like visually in the frame. I mean, how am I using the space as an actor? How am I using the frame? Is it a wide, very physical, full body thing? And then at certain moments, do I find spots to be still where it's the close up, where it's just my face filling the frame? Space could also just be like, where are you as the character as well? Like, are you in a big hall, like you're at a wedding and it's this big giant place. So seeing like your eyes discover and look around. Are you in this tiny little, you're in a tiny little dank dark cave, little hole in the ground? That's gonna influence how you're playing the scene. Yeah, those are two off the top. One as an actor, my actual physical space, and then as more so as the character, wherever the scene takes place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those are really the two incredibly important aspects of space, because you want to be thinking of this literal space that you're in,
Right.
but you also want to be thinking of this is the space of the character. How is my relationship with that space affect how I'm going to behave? And a lot of these things do end up relating to the guideposts, which I absolutely find beautiful, because they all just get woven in with each other, and it makes things so much richer, right?
Yeah, this, I mean, space is like guidepost 10 is place. But that's a huge difference. Like if I do walk, like say I'm walking into some cathedral, or say the scene takes place in a cathedral, and it's a conversation, I could play the whole conversation where you would never know. If you didn't know the script, you would never know I was in this beautiful cathedral. But if I'm in there and all of a sudden I'm like looking up here and maybe I'm throwing some volume a little further, like, hey, what are you doing down there? Like that little things. And then all of a sudden, just with my eyes, a little bit of change in my the dynamic of my voice, the volume, then you're putting the people in that space, in that place. I love that note. I forgot about that one actually. That your relationship to the space as well. So are you in a weird, strange, scary place that you've never been in before? Or are you chilling with your boys in your clubhouse, or your tree house, or your basement bachelor pad that you're always in? So, and there's a difference. We're all different people when we're in different spaces. So let that inform your performance. And again, that kind of specificity is just like, it would be like an artist when everyone else's painting is done, and then one artist comes and is like, oh, I have this new color that no one else used, and they're just like, boop, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, that one had something that all of the other auditions did not have, because they had the viewpoint of space and your relationship to that space. Or it could be space as in, are you in a space movie? Do you need to be using zero gravity? Huh? We're gonna do we have a zero gravity mode for the studio here? For anyone who needs a space audition here at Actors Audition Club, we just press the button and it sucks out all the gravity, and you just
float there.
Yeah, you just float there. All right, what's next? So that was time, space,
shape. So
yes.
When we say shape, what do you think of, Lars?
I think about physical shape. So am I like if I'm someone very dignified, I'll be up and chest out, shoulders up, chin out. If I'm playing some nasty kind of fucking gremlin golem kind of guy, my shape will be different as well. So it's like, who are you? How does your shape inform the story? How can you tell the story with the shape of your body? I suppose that shape could also be like story shape, architecture of the actual story itself. But what would you say?
Yeah, a lot of it for me has to do with the physical, and like how someone is deformed, or how someone has a tick. Like if someone is always scratching their chin, how do they do that? If they're scratching their nose, do they use one finger? Do they use three? That all informs. A lot of people. Margot Robbie talked about this before I, Tanya. She did a lot of animal work,
right?
And Bo Eason did a lot of this as well,
right?
Where you're doing you're studying an animal and then applying it to the character, and then slowly and gradually you're taking little aspects of that animal away, so you still have it deep inside you.
Right.
You still have the idea of that animal, but
Right.
it's more human like,
Yeah, it's
right?
like if that animal were personified into a human, what would remain that's still animal like?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. If you think of Ace Ventura, I think he was very bird-like in Ace Ventura. Even his hair kind of looked like some crazy wild tropical bird, and the way he moved and his arms were
Oh
were
yeah.
quite wild in that.
Yeah.
Um,
Also,
even
Jim Carrey's the fireman, like the shape of his face, the way he was
oh
able
yeah,
to like get his like lips out there and
right.
or lips tucked in, like the shape of your face. Like, is your face different?
Yeah, and
Um, yeah.
it doesn't always need to be like we're using some pretty big examples here, but it can be subtle things of like, okay, you just got some, you're mid scene and you got some depressing news. So do you sink a little bit? Do your shoulders sink? Or it's at the end of the scene where you need to like pump yourself up and, okay, I got this. Come on, do this. Like little subtle things like that that just tell a better story than if you're just static, not moving. So it's like how can you tell the story with the shape of you? And then yeah, there's the big bold examples like Gollum or someone super physical like Jim Carrey, but it can be real small things. Just the simple thing of like of just head down versus if I'm looking at you like this versus I'm looking at you like this. Like there's little subtle things that it does tell a different story. You get a different feel for me as the character, how I'm holding my body, how I'm shaping my body.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
we want to be able to tell as much as we can without saying anything. The
right.
more you can do that, the better off you're going to be, and the more gravitating you're going to be on screen or stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So up next is movement.
Boom.
So when we think of movement, Lars, what do you think of?
I mean, acting is a physical thing. It's action. You're acting, so you have to move your body. So how does your body move? How do you walk? How do you carry yourself? Are you moving fast? Are you moving slow? Are they small, very particular movements, quick in particular, or is it big movements? Like there's just so many ways to play it. Are you a physical type player? Do you move like a dance? Maybe you're a hippie, and so there's that flowy, yeah, man, we're doing it, dude. Just relax and just chill out. Or are you that like drill sergeant who never fucking moves, but when he does move, he moves with precision and swiftly and acts quickly and decisively. So it's just how does your own physical movement inform the story and better tell the story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even do you work at a desk all day because your shoulders are going to be hunched, your neck's going to be out a little more, and you're just going to be at a computer the whole time?
Right.
So your body shape is going to be different, and it leads back to shape. It leads back to how the shape affects the movement of your body, right? Which I also love again how they keep tying into each other because movement also ties into time. How
Right.
quickly am I moving? How
Right.
slowly am I moving? As you brought up, Lars.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have to defuse a bomb and you got 10 seconds, it's like you might be moving quickly.
Yeah.
You're going to be careful, but you might be doing things quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what's the other thing I was going to say? And I think a lot of it again comes down to specificity. It's like don't be caught in the muddy middle where it's like, yeah, you did something, but you just did it like just regular normal behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like because there's just ways to better tell the story. It's like, yeah, you can make that choice and be like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything extraordinary. I'm just going to sip the cup the way everyone sips a cup and the way I do it every day. That's fine. However, you might find a way to tell the better story and to give an aspect of your character by, are you making quick movements? Are you making very slow movements? And for me, most of the fun is on either extreme. I like to find where can I do something really slow and deliberate, and then break that up with where can I do something very fast. Like if even if it's just moving in frame, or picking something up, or like I could pick it up really, 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 really slowly.
Yeah.
Or like
there was actually a monologue in Todorow's class recently where someone was presenting a gun and they lifted it up into view and showed us the gun,
right,
and then brought it back down, and it creates relationship. It creates relationship to the gun for us.
right.
Like, we know what it means now. We know the importance of it.
Yeah. If you lift something up and you're like,
because like this is like lifting it up and presenting something is going to be different than if you're just holding it casually, like, oh, willy-nilly. I don't give a shit about this notebook. Look at me throw it.
yeah, versus like this, where it's like an offering at a church or something, or like you're like, here, it's no longer mine. I want you to, like, you're more of a presentation.
Yes.
Yeah, just very specific, and think about all this stuff. A lot of the times we don't think about this stuff, and obviously this comes into your prep and your rehearsal and making choices. And again, we talked about this in the recent challenge that we did. Some actors will be like, well, it's not written. I don't see that anywhere. It doesn't say she picks it up slowly. Yeah. That's your job as a creator and as an artist, to tell a story and to be creative and to empower yourself with some decision-making ability to be like, hey, this is the story I want to tell. Like, obviously you have to be true to the story on the paper, but you can write in between the lines. You're creating your character. It is you. So you need to take control and empower yourself and have the agency to just be like, I'm going to make this something. I know it's not really something. And then that's I think you see brilliant performances and then you look at a script. I think a lot of non-actors, like the general audience and the public, thinks that everything they see an actor do on screen was scripted, like how they pick something up, how they move, things they do with their face. But really, it's only mostly it's just the words on the paper, and all the physicality and all the action is something that the actor brought to it. So that's your power, and that's the fun part, is to get to really almost like script your character yourself and be like, this is what I'm making this into this. And then you're like, holy shit, nobody else did that.
Have you ever seen the reels, Lars, where they show the action on screen and then they'll show the script?
I love those.
I love those as well, because you see the little differences that the actors have made on that day. They'll switch one thing with another thing, but like it means the same thing ultimately. It's just they've switched the order of things. They've taken things out, but they've swapped things in, and it's never exactly 100% what's on the page, but like it's very close to what is being written and what is being meant in that story moment.
Yeah, and you can see where they did a little improv. You can see where maybe they dropped the line or realized the line was kind of redundant and in the moment in that take wasn't necessary, where they added things or even elevated things. Yeah, it's great. Anything else for that was movement?
Yes. No, I think that's it. The next one is story. And that's an incredible. We've talked a lot about how you're shaping your story within the first 4 viewpoints, and like how you can use these elements to tell the story that you ultimately need to, and especially in auditions, you don't always have to do everything that's on the page, because sometimes that's how it's going to be on the day, but that's not always how you can do it in your audition, because you may not have everything that you need to do that particular thing. I know for an audition I had recently, I had to throw a can into a fire, and like I'm not going to be able to do that, but like you can still do something to that effect. It doesn't have to be that specific thing, but it does have to be something that gets people motivated in the scene, gets your partner motivated, gets you motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes there's like blocking stuff of standing and sitting and walking around the table, or getting out of the car. And it's like, you can't do all that stuff necessarily in an audition. So you got to figure out like what moments and beats do need to be there, and what is just fat that on the day when you figure out a blocking and you do rehearsing with the camera and they figure it out. Often that stuff changes too, where it's like, okay, this was written to be a walk and talk where we're walking down a hallway and then around a corner and then down some stairs, but we're just going to do it here in the kitchen, or vice versa. And that's a good example too. If you like, if there's a scene where you got to do a ton of running, or you're walking down a hall, or you're walking upstairs, it's like that might be something that's probably cut. But that it doesn't mean that there might be a beat where you look up the stairs or you call up on the stairs, but then you're just going to play it like you're not going to actually walk upstairs in your audition. But that would be cool too. Maybe if you got
also some story beats. We mentioned this during time, but understanding story beats and where you are in the story of the overarching movie or TV show can be incredibly valuable and incredibly important to understanding how you need to frame your auditions and how you can tell the story in the best possible way at that time.
Right. And you have to create an arc and create some architecture for your character. Tom will often say, remember to forget, meaning don't play the end of the movie at the beginning. If you know that it's a sad ending, everybody dies and commits suicide. Well, if you play everyone's depressed and suicidal from the first beat, then it's like, oh, surprise, surprise, the guy killed himself. Of course he did. Versus if you play a lot of love and a lot of humor, then how fucking heartbroken and wrecked is everyone by the end if that same person kills themselves, you know? So it's finding, and it's part of it is finding it in the story, and then part of it is creating that arc as well, and just deciding, you know what, like, no, it doesn't make sense. I can't play angry guy at the beginning because then I'm just an angry guy all throughout. And this was one of the I've shared this on a previous episode, but one of the things in that lead episode of the episode, or lead role of the episode that I recently shot, one of the things, I was technically the antagonist, so could be seen as the villain. And I think they got a lot of auditions where everyone was playing it like they were the big bad guy from the get-go, the first time you see my character on camera. And what we chose to do, and I didn't even do it enough in the self-tape, but we had thought about it by the time we got to the callback enough, where it was like, no, I'm going to play this opening scene kind of more casual, kind of friendly, no big deal. Like, I'm a friendly neighbor. I know everybody in the neighborhood. So that then later, when I make some very questionable decisions and do some terrible things, then it's a little more impactful, because you're like, oh, we were kind of rooting for that guy and now he's turned into this guy. And it's just, you're not telegraphing the story to the audience where it's like, oh, good guy good, bad guy bad. Like that's not good storytelling. Rather than, I think how that episode ends up is people are going to feel and relate to me. People are going to feel and relate to the other lead. People are going to think he did things that were questionable. People are going to think that I did things that are questionable. And in the end, this is kind of a tragic story where a lot of fucked up shit happens. But that's kind of life, where it's like good people do shitty things, shitty people do good things. And we all have these arcs and descents. And then we have, we have redemptions as well, when people do shitty things and then they eventually are able to make up for it. So really think about story, and how that like, and that's what all of this is too. All of this is, it's not for you as the actor. It's all of our purposes as an actor is to tell the story. Brandon's got a shirt that says story over everything. So you really got to think of that. That's what it is. All your favorite actors are great storytellers. Whether they're telling it like in a scene where they got a big monologue where they're actually telling you a story that happened to them, or they're just great storytellers in all these little specificities that they have in their performance, that when you put them all together from start to finish, frame one to the ending frame, tell a really compelling story.
Yeah. And finally, emotion. So emotion. What do you think? What do you think of emotion when you hear
Well,
it?
I think it's what are you going through as a character? Where can you show your emotions? Tom uses the phrase act not to be impressive, but to be expressive. So expressing a full range of human emotions, finding those beats, like there's emotionally, if there's a beat where you can be angry, well, what's the opposite of that? Where are you very vulnerable? If you're big, loud, and angry in one part, you got to be small and very vulnerable in another part, which is also guidepost 5, which is opposites. And really being in tune for those real emotions. Tom will say, like, we got to be, I forget, I'm spacing on the whole quote, but he talks about you really got to be also like a psychologist, a sociologist, anthropologist. Like, you got to really put yourself there and be like, well, how would you be feeling right now? And sometimes we gloss over that, where we don't realize, like, no, this is life and death stakes. This is the biggest moment of your life. This is the woman of your dreams. This is the biggest, most devastating loss you've ever experienced. This is the biggest, hugest opportunity that's ever been dangled in front of you. And then realizing how you as a human would actually feel emotionally, and letting us know about how you feel about everything, so that we really start to see you as a human being. And just painting with all those colors. And a danger and a trap is, oh, this is an argument, I'm mad, or choosing cynicism or sarcasm as an emotion. Rather than, especially in audition, why not show them as much as you can? Find a beat where you can be pissed off and you can be big and loud. Find a beat where you can be quite sad and emotionally distraught. Find a beat where you can be happy, joyful. Show them all that, so that then people see in an audition a fully fleshed out human being, rather than you kind of playing a caricature of someone going through this, and it's not really you. You're kind of putting on a face or a mask or something, rather than showing all of your emotions.
And also, how can you show emotions with just your body? How can you show how you're feeling with just a simple movement of the hand? Like, even just a brush over the face makes you go, oh, he's probably tired, or something.
This classic one of just,
covering your mouth.
Like, that could be shock or horror, just like you just see something and for some reason, oh my God, I can't even, that's so terrible.
And it can change. Like, that movement can change if you because you had an open palm and you covered your mouth. If you have a fist and you go like this,
that could be like
your teeth.
Like
that means something different, right? So just a slight difference in how you're presenting something can indicate how you're telling the story and how you're showing emotion at that time. Because if you're covering your mouth with your palm, then it's as Lars said, you're scared or you're shocked. But if you're covering your mouth and you use your teeth and clench a fist and just bite down on that fist, then you're probably showing, I'm attracted to this person. I see them in a different sort of light. And I want to see more of that person, sort of thing. What are you pulling up, Lars?
I'm just getting some books, because I think I'm trying to think of, I can't think of the people who sort of originated the idea of viewpoints, but
so the Viewpoints book is originated by Tina Landau and Mary Overly. That's where this is derived from. So it's derived from the Viewpoints book that, again, was written by Tina Landau and Mary Overly. So Tom did not come up with this, but it is applied in this technique.
So this is a great book too. This is Movement for Actors by Nicole Potter. And even if you look, I mean, you look on the front of that, look at what those actors are doing with their bodies. Those are great viewpoints right there, and you instantly look at these people, and that tells a story just in a freeze frame without you even seeing the performance. And then there's this one here too, to the actor Michael Chekhov.
Oh yeah.
As well. Check a lot of the viewpoint stuff. It comes up in Chekhov work as well.
What we studied in at my university, at University of Windsor, was the Chekhov technique, which is psychological gesture,
Right.
and using those gestures to invoke an emotion in you,
Right.
and so that you can apply it to your scene.
Yeah.
It's very good. Clint Eastwood is a famous actor that has studied that and uses psychological gesture a lot.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So the viewpoints, again, all 6 of them are time, space, shape, movement, story, and emotion. So we hope that this helps. This was an educational moment for everyone that's watching this. And we hope that this helps in your future auditions, and that you come learn from Tom Todoroff and learn the Todoroff technique.
Let's drop that link in there again.
Sure.
Again, that's Wednesday, October 11th. It's a free masterclass with Tom. You can sign up as an observer or jump in the pool and work on a monologue. Just bring a 1 to 2 minute monologue. And when you register, you can choose whether you want to be an observer or a performer. He may not be able to work with everyone. The time is limited. So I think it's just a 2-hour class. He'll work with as many people as he can. And I think they usually just kind of pull from everyone who's registered as a performer. They'll just pull names out of a hat, and then he'll work with you for a little bit, and it'd be great. It's lots of fun. You're going to hear a lot of the things that we've talked about. If you want to do a little homework, go back and listen to episode 146, 47, and 48, all about the guideposts. And again, all this comes down to developing a technique. Tom often refers to it as the unshakable skill set as well. So that I think a lot of actors, you have certain pieces of material when they come across your email or you get the script, they really resonate with you. And those ones are the easy, where you're like, oh, this is me. I know this guy. I've been there. Or this is my exact life. And then other ones that's not you. Those are sometimes, oh, I don't know about that. I would never say something like that. Or like, I can't relate to this. But when you actually have a framework, guideposts, vocal variation, viewpoints, the 3 tenets of acting, the 3 techniques of acting, everything that Tom teaches us, you can take that and then apply it to any scene, any monologue, any story, any performance, any musical performance, any speech, a keynote speech. All of that is going to make you a better performer, a better actor. It's all based on the physics of performance. So it's science based and art based, but there is a science to this. And it's like a checklist where you can go through your scene and you can actually figure out, like, this is what I love about it too. When we go see something, if I watch a movie, a TV show, we go through a theater show, and you get a sense that it's not working. Instead of just having a generic opinion like, I didn't like it, it didn't work, or I don't know what that was, you can actually have a valid opinion of why it didn't work. Like, well, you know what, it didn't have this and this to it. I didn't know what the relationship was. They weren't fighting for anything. There was no vocal variation. There was no viewpoints. So they were just still the whole time. They didn't use any of the stage. There was no, any of those things. So that when you learn it and you see something that didn't quite hit the mark for you, you can actually articulate why it didn't. And you could, if you had the opportunity, you could tell to that actor or performer or director or production team, if you were to do a proper review, rather than your review just being based on opinions, you could actually say, these are the things that I would improve, and this is how I would improve it. We do that here in our auditions when we run sessions with Actors Audition Club. We're taking a first take with an actor and then basically looking through all the guideposts. We have them on the wall here, and viewpoints and vocal variation, and just seeing how can we dial all those up like a little mechanic? We just get in there and we're like, okay, a little more of this, a little more of this, a little more of this, a little more of this. And then by the end of the hour session, you've got something that's very compelling and is much stronger and much better storytelling than if it was just kind of a flat middle of the road read. And you got to think, like, every role that we ever audition to, they're getting hundreds of these. So how are you going to stand out if you're just kind of doing a medium vanilla half-assed approach that's very general and generic and doesn't have all these specificity to it? So it's a game changer is what I'm saying. So join us October 11th. We drop that link in there. Also, we can drop the link between now and Friday. We're running a special promotion for those of you who are not members of Actors Audition Club. You can join for $1 for the first month. You'll get 30 days of Actors Audition Club for $1, which actually includes your first self-tape audition session. So what I'm saying is you can get a self-tape audition coaching session for $1. After the 30 days, you can certainly continue with us. And we hope you do, and we would expect that you do, and most people do. But even if you wanted to just hop on for the $1, you're going to get that session to come experience this with us, to actually work with a professional who will help you rehearse, will help you shoot, will give you coaching and directions. Then we'll edit your tape together and submit it to your agent and/or casting. So that the brilliant thing about working with Actors Audition Club is you don't have to do anything but prepare and then act. And you can throw all the other stuff out and just let us handle that for you. So go to laughingvikings.com/AAC. That promotion's running till midnight on Friday. You can get registered for just $1, and that'll include your first session on the house and everything else that comes with Actors Audition Club. laughingvikings.com/AAC. All right. Is that it? We're done?
We did have one comment from one person today.
It's Francis.
Yes. So, Francis, you've won a free session with Actors Audition Club.
There you go. And he's already got one. He's coming in tomorrow for his free session too.
Yeah.
So, yes. So thank you for listening to Inside the Audition. This has been episode 156. Make sure to register for that masterclass. Make sure to join us here at Actors Audition Club if you are not a member. And we'll see you next Wednesday. We're going to do episode 157 next Wednesday afternoon. And then we'll be at the masterclass Wednesday night at 7 p.m.
Bye-bye. Have a great week, everybody.